Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the pioneer of the Iranian-American stand-up comedy, Eslam Shams.
If someone in your group gets hurt after a dinner in a restaurant because there's always 5 people physically fighting and insisting to pay the bill and they fight each other to get the check, you might be Persian. If the brand of your ashtrays, coffee thermos, blanket is MGM, Venetian, Caesar Palace, Rio, you might be Persian. If you always take a spare empty suitcase to the airport because deep inside you know you have to return half of the shit in your luggage as a souvenir that you bought, you might be Persian. If you try to keep your teenagers in the dark about sex education and you are shocked and blame life in America when your 17-year-old daughter gets pregnant, you might be Persian. If you ask for a price check at the Dollar Tree store, you might be Persian. If you constantly talk shit about Persian guys or Persian girls and eventually you end up marrying a Persian guy or a Persian girl, you are one stupid, confused, idiot Persian. If you're diabetic and take your pills with soft drink cause the water has no flavor, you might be Persian. If you get into a car accident in California, you call your parents in your country, ask them to sacrifice a lamb and have the blood of that lamb rubbed on a piece of cloth and have them mail it to you in America so you can take that and rub it over the wheels or your bumper just so the evil eye will stay away from you and you will not get into any car accident. And you call this Abul Fazl insurance? You are one retarded Persian. Now this is really important. If you confuse religious superstitions with religious beliefs, you might be Persian. If service and customer service means nothing to you, you might be some Persian restaurant owner. Not all, but some. If your friend's wife is planning to have a surprise birthday for your friend, you call your friend to get directions to their house, you might be Persian. If you're 35 years old and your parents still insist on making decisions in every aspect of your life, you might be Persian. You're shaking your head. Am I talking about you, sir? Alright, it's alright. It's just hard for the first 50 years of your life. Once they're gone, you're going to be okay. No. I'm not suggesting they're going to be gone, but eventually. If 8 p.m. to you means 9:30 PST, which means Persian Standard Time, you might be Persian. If you always fight over about who will pay the check, you might be Persian. If you often try to find Russian vodka or Johnny Walker Black or Italian or French cuisine in your country, but when you travel abroad, you insist on Persian cuisine with yogurt and soda and Shiraz red wine, you might be Persian. If you are a mechanic with names like Tony, Mike, or Bob, but you can't speak a word of English, you might be Persian. If you still own a VCR or a DVD player and its clock is still blinking 12, 12, 12, because Iranians don't need to read the owner's manual. You might be Persian. If you pronounce W's as V's, like what, the, then, why, you might be Persian. If you come up with million excuses not to serve in a jury duty, but you pass judgment on everyone at any party, you might be Persian. If you insist your wedding has to be mixed, men and women, serve alcoholic drinks, have Western DJ music with almost naked dancers, but the date of your wedding absolutely has to be on a holy Muslim Imam saint's birthday, you might be Persian in Iran. If your country's army helps America fight ISIS in Iraq, but fights American army in Yemen, yet your leaders meet with American leaders in Switzerland to improve your country's relationship with American government, guess what? You might be Persian. If you brag about your son-in-law and how happy he has made your daughter, but you trash your daughter-in-law by complaining, my son works like a donkey so she can spend all of my son's money to hang out with her prostitute friend, you might be Persian. If your race, culture, language, and women were raped by the Arabs, yet you still go to Iraq, Karbala, Syria, Saudi Arabia for pilgrimage, you might be Persian. If you buy a new car and before you start driving it, you place 4 eggs under the 4 wheels to guarantee for your car and you to be accident free, you might be one retarded Persian. If you insist on wearing the most expensive watches like Rolex or Cartier, yet you're always late to every event in your life, or when someone asks you for a time, even though you're wearing an expensive watch, you look at your cell phone and tell them the time, you might be Persian. If after all these years living in America, you still brag about at least one of your relatives being personal close friend of the Shah, you might be Persian. If your parents do not know the real you, ladies, you might be Persian. If you can lose 10 pounds instantly by shaving your back, you might be an Arab. However, if you can lose 5 pounds by shaving your back, you might be Persian. If the smell of your cologne or even your makeup precedes you to the room and everyone knows that you're coming 5 minutes before you enter that room, you might be Persian. If your daughter is posting ads online like personals.com seeking boyfriend, but you insist she is only focused on her school because she is very good girl and not interested in any relationship with men until she becomes a doctor, you might be Persian. If your parents come to United States of America every 6 months to cash their SSI check, you might be Persian. If you call your friend to say, sorry, I cannot attend your surprise birthday party tonight, you might be Persian. If you speak English like this, you might be Persian. If every time you bite into a piece of fruit in America, you complain that it doesn't taste like the fruit in your homeland, you are one unappreciative ass person. If you only remember to thank God when you see a disabled person, you might be Persian. If you dream about living in America, finally come to America realizing that you have to work to survive and don't like that idea, so you go to Europe so you can sit on your ass and collect social money, you might be Persian. If you're constantly worried about what your friends might think of you, you might be Persian. If you always think you're always 100% right or other person is too stupid to realize that you are right, you might be Persian. If you are naked at a nude beach but quickly cover yourself up upon seeing a fellow countryman, you might be Persian. If punctuality means nothing to you and being an hour late to everywhere is fine with you, you might be Persian. If you go all the way when dating American guys, yet you expect a wedding ring just to say hello to a guy dating from your own country, you might be Persian. If you run a credit card background check on your daughter's potential fellow countryman boyfriend, yet you are totally unaware and clueless about the American guys your daughter has been getting down with, you might be Persian, a clueless one. If you consider America your host country, even though you have lived here longer than you have lived in your own country, you might be Persian. If you tell people you are half Italian but you prefer rice over pasta, you might be Persian. If you haggle over the price of the stamp at the post office, you might be Persian. If you encounter a fellow countryman while shopping at TJ Maxx, Marshall, or Ross, dress for less, you suddenly turn the other way so they cannot see you. You might be Persian. If you always have a place to stay with friends and families when you travel, no matter where or when you visit, even though there are many hotels in that town, you might be Persian. If your mother thinks you are God's gift to women all over the planet and no woman in this world deserves you because they're not as good to you as your mother is, you might be Persian. Ladies, if you can kiss your brother and father but not your husband at the airport in your country, you might be Persian. Gentlemen, if you can kiss your sister and mother but not your wife at the airport in your country, you definitely are Persian or an Arab. If you have been in United States of America since 1979, yet you still can't spell word shit, you might be Persian. If you're not of the Arab race, yet your calendar is filled with the Arab race death anniversaries, you might be Persian.